Hello everyone, it's been a while, but we are back with another video. A Different World ran on network television from 1987 to 1993, which saw the taste of the television viewing public shift from deeply earnest shows like The Wonder Years and The Cosby Show. A Different World is a Cosby Show spin-off that follows a group of students and faculty at the fictional, historically black Hillman College. The show initially centered on Denise Huxtable, played by the one and only Lisa Bonet, as a new Hillman student. The series got revamped, however, after the first season, introducing a diverse group of black undergrads as they navigate the ups and downs of college life. It premiered in the 80s, and in terms of representation, there wasn't much TV showing young black people making their mark on the world. For many, there was no telling what life at a HBCU was actually like, and for those who'd never been exposed to the HBCU culture, the show was able to give some insight into that world. To further this, it actually led to an increase in HBCU enrollment because between 1976 and 1994, there was almost a 26% jump in the HBCU enrollment, according to CNN. The show's producer, Debbie Allen, gave a refreshing and realistic take on university life, which included parties, late-night study sessions, dorm rooms, break-in, college parties, and everyone's favorite campus hangout, the Pit. Like, I'm sure we all know the Pit. So many legendary scenes happened at the Pit. The show definitely rivaled The Cosby Show in popularity, and the show was of a time where some of the biggest black film and television productions were made during the 80s. Such as The Color Purple and The Woman of Brewster Place, which has a young Oprah, but that was only one season, so I really don't know why that got cancelled. I need to look that up. But I will say, despite all these great black productions of the time, there was still a negative portrayal of black women. A lot of films and media showed the struggle cinema of black womanhood and also made quite a negative depiction of black male characters in film and had a lot of themes regarding abuse in black families, which, as we know, is not always the case, just like any normal family. In the late 80s and early 90s, The Cosby Show was at its peak with a magnitude of success. And if you haven't watched The Cosby Show, it basically revolved around a black middle-class family with high values and storylines during Ronald Reagan's America, and a time when the government was really attempting to erase black radicalism from a mainstream discourse. Bill Cosby, I can't believe I have to watch this man. Bill Cosby, anyway, at the time was an inspiration for many people, a leader of a sort, the idea that you could be of a professional high black class. But this upliftment, however, revolved around believing that there was something wrong with someone who was from a black working class. A lot of black middle class people love to compare themselves and see themselves in similarities with the white middle class, and they'd rather be associated with white middle class than the black working class. But that is not a video for today. A video pending, may I say though. It was the goal of Bill Cosby to separate himself and what he surrounded himself with from poverty and the stereotypical representation of what it meant to be African American in the 80s and 90s. The show gave way for Cosby to push the idea of educational uplift for black advancement through the depiction of Hillman College. So Cosby created A Different World as a show that would revolve around Lisa Bonet, the chill and chic actress who played his second oldest daughter, Denise. Denise was this unorganized girl with a bohemian fashion sense, but also was kind of sort of dreamy and wasn't too much in your face like how they do main characters. When she spoke, it was always with this tone of like nonchalantness, which came off as natural, yet at the same time still made her audience laugh. And I'm not gonna lie, she was authentic to the role. She was able to be America's sweetheart and experience the complexities and issues which had come with being a middle-class black girl, you could say. But her role in the show didn't last for long, as in between the first and second season, Lisa Bonet starred in Angel Heart, which was an erotic thriller at 19, where she was literally topless at one point. We all know she was in a relationship with rock star Lenny Kravitz, also fell pregnant at the age of 20. That relationship did seem iconic to me, I'm not going to lie. I remember even Beyonce, one Halloween, dressed up as her. I'm going to find the picture somewhere and insert it. And despite what we know now of him to be, he did not want Denise to be pregnant in the show. And she left. She did, however, come back in later seasons of The Cosby Show to reprise her role as Denise, where she randomly married a man from the Navy and was stepmother to her stepdaughter Olivia, played by the one and only Raven Simone. And so without Denise, a different world changed, and the show was more focused on a range of characters, like how it is in Friends. Characters like Ron, Dwayne's best friend, had a bigger presence in the show. Whitley's new roommate, Kim, and Jaleesa's new roommate, Winifred, aka Freddie, played by Cree Summer, are also introduced in later seasons. One of the big differences is that without Denise, Whitley Gilbert, played by Jasmine Guy, really got to have more camera time and up her comedic and melodramatic skills. It was when Debbie Allen took over as executive producer in the second season, drawing from her own experiences attending Howard University, one of the top HBCU universities in the nation, by the way, that the show truly found its voice. A Different World was way ahead of its time. I think that's because of the way it addressed political and social issues of society. They were one of the first shows to explore controversial topics in the 90s, such as HIV, date rape, apartheid, and the Equal Rights Amendment. Probably one of the most watched, if not the most watched episode, was the AIDS and HIV episode in season 4. I can imagine that back in 1991, there wasn't much mention of AIDS and HIV on TV. So when A Different World dedicated an entire episode to addressing the epidemic, it blew up. There was a lot of miseducation around HIV during that time, I believe, as people often associated it with being a gay man's disease, which is wrong, by the way. Many stars, black stars like Magic Johnson and Eazy-E, had contracted HIV. And during the episode, it tried to dismantle the misinformation and myths about the virus. In the episode, Josie, played by Tisha Campbell, says her HIV positive status during the class, which then creates a discussion about protection and the stigma surrounding the condition. According to Debbie Allen, this episode was so controversial that advertisers had literally requested to see the script beforehand, and then have their adverts pulled before the episode aired. Like, they really weren't trying to mess up anything. Wow. There was another powerful eclipse in season 2, I believe, about sexual consent. Freddie Brooks, as I mentioned, played by Cree Summer, goes on a date with a star baseball player who then attempts to assault her. The episode here was meant to tackle the narrative that women play hard to get in hopes of not coming off a certain type of way, but in reality want men to apparently take it. But no means no. I heard a saying once that someone was like, wherever you go, yes means yes and no means no. Something like that. And yeah, I agree. No means no, guys. That's what I'm going to say. The show, I would say, was quite radical in a sense that even from the theme song, they were telling black audiences what the show was going to encompass. The first season, the song is sung by Phoebe Snow, and it says, "I know my parents love me, stand behind me, come what may. I know now that I'm ready because I finally heard them say, it's a different world from where you come from. Here's a chance to make it if we focus on our goals. If we dish it, we can take it. Just remember what you've been told. It's a different world where you come from." And this is somewhat a cautionary tale. Succeed against the odds, because the real world is ugly and, quite frankly, mean to black people. So you do have to try twice as hard. I wasn't born in the time when A Different World was running, but I can imagine the impact that it would have on a young black girl like me. Shows that had a majority black cast I can remember were probably My Wife and Kids. I can't even remember when Fresh Prince ended, so I don't even want to say Fresh Prince like that. My Wife and Kids, That's So Raven. I'm trying to think who else and what else had a majority black cast. I literally can't remember, and the fact that I can't remember is a problem. But comment below if you used to watch any black show that had a majority of a black cast. I'm interested and I will tune in. But anyway, the theme song was basically telling the young black audiences that the world ahead of them was going to be hard. So yeah, we gotta focus. Remember what you've learned from your family. Know where you come from. Be strong, because it is a different world where we're from. Like, they ate with that theme song. They ate. I also think what made A Different World so impactful and radical in a sense was that it broke the norms of representation of black characters in the media. Whitley Gilbert, who played the Southern Belle, was one of the most best dressed people on TV at the time. Probably one of the most stylish characters in TV history. She was confident, assured of herself. She was part of that bougie class of women like the Hilary Banks and the Lisa Turtles. And I'm not gonna lie, now I think about it, that is still missing from TV. Like, I know they got the Fresh Prince reboot, but I ain't been watching that. If you're watching the Fresh Prince reboot, let me know. When you think about Whitley's character, she was very much conservative. She never flaunted her body and was quite serious about her sexual endeavors. In the first season, I remember there's literally an episode where everyone thinks that her and Dwayne slept together, and she literally did a whole speech basically solidifying her virtue. Whitley's style, this girl could wear anything, and I mean anything, and make it work. You name it, she wore it and slayed it. She was elegant and classy with her looks, her accessories. She was always on point. And when she worked the outfit, she worked the room too. Her stylist was Cece, who also styled other shows like In Living Single, Living Colour. Whitley was very much that sort of high-end black girl luxury and was proud of it. She didn't want to struggle and she didn't need to struggle, which is something not many black women could say at the time. And I also think that it's something that many black women don't have the opportunity to play. I see so many films and like TV shows where black women are always going through something, and people go through something all the time. But there's like a specific need to always put the black woman through some sort of trauma, through some sort of struggle that holds her back from doing some type of endeavor. And I don't like that because that's not all our reality. But it seems to be the only representation that we see in the media. Whitley and Dwayne's relationship, oh my god, their relationship was a main attraction for the series. I feel like it had to be. They were the Ross and Rachel before the Ross and Rachel even existed. No shade to Friends, but yeah, let's be real. Unlike a lot of couples on TV or in real life, the pair were sort of, kind of good friends before they became a couple. They got to like each other before they were in love with each other. And they did come from very different worlds. And so their relationship probably wasn't ideal, but it definitely worked and was the real thing. I think their story also gives us some useful insight into the complex ways that individuals and relationships evolve during your young undergrad years and the formative stages of adulting. Dwayne didn't pursue Whitney romantically. He was sort of infatuated with Denise, and so the pair's relationship evolved from cordial acquaintances to a committed relationship. Even though Dwayne wasn't the type of guy that Whitley imagined herself falling for, I know we've all seen that scene where Eli, where Eli from Scandal, who I forgot the guy who is in the show, Brian, whatever, is at the altar with Whitley. And then Dwayne just comes rushing through and it's like,
Whitley, did you take me to be your lawfully wedded wife? And she's like, I do.
wow. Cinema. Wow. Even though Dwayne was the type of guy that Whitley imagined herself falling for, their chemistry was undeniable and became more and obvious throughout the series. What I love most about their love story is that we watched it evolve. The audience saw them grow from mature, short-sighted young adults who didn't like each other to maturing adults who came to experience the world and their differences. And as the two attended the HCBU University, they were up against real issues and were able to withstand their differences in social class, background, opinions, and beliefs. Now let's talk about Freddie. Many people were in awe of Freddie's radicalism and unrequited self-love, despite how she looked towards others. We saw her navigate spaces filled with micro and macroaggressions, and how the world can make someone who looks like me very small. But no matter how many people ridiculed her for her beliefs, activism, and free spirit, Freddie stood tall and steadfast. There was also a range of black characters and black girls even I could see myself in, still in the 21st century. You had Lena James, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, Kim Reese, played by Charnel Brown, and Lisa Vincent, played by Dawn Lewis. Each woman completely and differently representing the differences of black people and how black women should not be put in a box, which should be obvious, but in Hollywood, like, it really ain't. Screenwriter Lena Waithe actually said, When it came time to name my production company, Hillman Grad just felt right. It represented a lot about who I was and how A Different World was so inspirational to me. As a writer, as a kid, as a person, it just made sense. A Different World was radical because anything going against the grain is radical. There was barely any representation of young black kids of that time. You had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but I think that came around 1990 after A Different World had already been on for about 3 years. Hilary Banks was basically an expansion of Whitley Gilbert. You had Martin and Gina, and even though that was based on an adult relationship, started later in 1992. So, in terms of black representation and young black representation, A Different World were the only people on the map. But saying that, I can also kind of imagine the burden that these young black actors, who were in their 20s, I believe, at the time had to go through. When there was a shrill negativity in the media about black people and how we are represented, there is a ton of weight on these actors who at the same time were, as I said, just in their early 20s. Netflix did their big one by putting A Different World back on. Being a 21st century girl, I'm not gonna lie, I missed out on all that good stuff during the 90s and 80s. And so being able to watch it now, I feel complete. Like, yes, A Different World. If you haven't watched the show, watch it. I'm sure if you're up to this point in the video, you should be enticed to watch it by now. Like, it's on Netflix, binge the whole thing. There are 6 seasons, free promo. I'm not getting paid to tell them to watch it. But yeah, what do you guys think about A Different World? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Did you used to watch it back in the day? Have you just started watching it now? Have you never watched it? Let me know in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Serene the journalist. Yes, I am actually a journalist. And we'll be back hopefully next week with another video.